Coming up next on The Voice of Alabama Politics, Britt appointed GOP Deputy Whip. Also, there are many things you don't know about the Poarch Creek Band of Indians that you should. And I've heard that Populism is coming to Alabama. Haven't we seen that movie before?
I draw the line in the dust and toss the gauntlet before the feet of tyranny, and I say segregation now, segregation tomorrow, and segregation forever.
Yeah, we've seen that movie. It didn't work out real well for us. Bad ending, bad ending. All this and much, much more coming up next on The V. Welcome to The Voice of Alabama Politics, where we tackle the tough issues so you have the hard facts. I'm your host, Bill Britt, and as always, I'm joined by Susan Britt, research guru extraordinaire, and Josh Moon, investigative reporter and columnist at APR. Welcome.
Hi, y'all.
Hey, y'all.
If people only knew what it was like to be the only girl amongst this boys' club, oh my God.
I think I'm aggrieved. I'm aggrieved that you would bring that up. Aren't
We're
you?
a bunch of liberals. You got it so well. Imagine being, like Fox News or something.
No.
That's right.
There's never a dull moment, I can tell you that.
No. Hey, speaking
God.
of, it was so cold this weekend. I mean, it's just been brutally cold. But Josh, you love this kind of weather, don't you?
He
You relish
does.
in it.
It's his favorite time of year.
My head is freezing. And I hate it so much. I can't describe to you the hate that I have for this weather. I want it to be 100 with 110% humidity and get back to normal.
Well, it will be there come August for
Soon
sure.
enough,
There
if not sooner.
Katie Britt has yet got another big, well, it's not really promotion, but an opportunity. She has now been appointed deputy whip for the majority, the GOP in the Senate under Wyoming Senator Brasso.
John Barrasso. Mm-hmm.
And Susan, this is going to give her even more power. She's up there with the big hitters to whip the votes, to get the Senate business done. And she has, really excelled in 2 years, far above what most freshman senators ever do.
Listen, those of us who know Katie, this is no surprise at all. Katie's always been a go-getter. She's always wanted to get the job done. She wants to work for the people of Alabama, and that's very clear. And they're beginning to see it now. And what kind of person and what kind of hard worker she is.
Yeah. I know, Josh, you're in the politics that you favor and the politics that Senator Britt favor. Probably there's a gulf between it. But I think one of the interesting things that she and Tim Kaine have been sponsoring is this issue of child care and doing more to provide for Americans to have child care, working Americans to have child care. If you would speak to that.
Yeah, no, there is. Yeah, there is a gulf as wide as the Gulf of America. It's but there have been a handful of issues, and I will say this about Katie Britt. She is very smart, and she also is not a crazy person.
Yeah.
And so when that is, you combine those two things, and you can move up fairly quickly in today's GOP because it kind of sets you apart. But there have been a couple of issues. One, the issue of blocking children from social media that I agree with her completely on. I wish we would do it further. I wish that I don't think her bill goes far enough, actually. I know she would like to go farther, but I don't think she can get kind of the support that is needed to kind of put those policies in place. Right. But also this issue of childcare, as we mentioned on here a number of times. I praised Will Ainsworth and his group for what they were doing in the workforce area in the state, because childcare is the number one blockade to introducing people back into the workforce. I mean, it is so expensive now for moms and dads to go to work and leave their kids that are not yet school age with somebody, or to find after school care that is affordable for somebody that without offsetting it by just saying, hell with it, I'm not going to work because you're taking all my paycheck to pay for the kids,
Yeah.
And so if you can do something to solve that issue, especially on a nationwide scale, I mean, it would help out millions of families.
Well, I think one of the things I was listening to an interview with Bill Clinton. He said that he thought the first woman president would actually be conservative. And I have no doubt that if things go her way, Katie Britt could be the first woman president of the United States. She has that kind of character.
We were talking about that before she was ever elected.
Yeah, that's true. That's
because
true.
she has that charisma. She has that hard working. She's got an energy of a capability of person. I have never seen him so much energy.
She does. Hey, and speaking of, again, the child care issue, Manufacture Alabama, which is one of our best groups out there, they represent manufacturing and the surrounding groups. They were one of the main ones pushing for this child care tax credit. That was one of their highlights in their 2024 year in review. And Susan, they get a lot done behind the scenes.
They really do. They get a lot done. They're also involved in like environmental advocacy, international relations. It's not just, the workforce here in Alabama. It's, they're expanding their arms across other platforms to make Alabama a better place, not for people to work, for companies to come here.
Well, and John Barganier, who heads that group, he comes from a legacy political family in Alabama. But Josh, that just the child tax care thing is huge. But they do a lot to make sure that infrastructure bills pass, that plants get built, a lot of things that depend on their work.
Yeah, it's a very important group, and that bill in particular is another one passed by the guy on the far end of that picture that's behind you, Anthony Daniels.
Yeah.
That was his child care tax, and he figured out a way. This is what people are supposed to do in office. They figured out a way to make it palatable to everybody, where businesses get a tax break for offering child care through their business, and propping up child care agencies out there and private child care places. It's a fantastic bill. It's a way for everybody to kind of get involved with it, and for the workplaces to do something that supports their employees. And so I think it's a win-win all the way around. And you're right about Manufacture Alabama. I mean, that's it is in their interest. It's in their company's interest. So yeah, it's a good thing. And when you have that kind of work with everybody kind of coming together, man, it's a good thing for the state.
Yeah, and they're a bipartisan group because, really the truth is business is bipartisan.
It is.
Business just wants to make money. And, that's their goal is to...
Business is progressive.
Yeah.
They're progressive.
It really is.
Businesses are progressive. Yeah.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
And I think they do a great job. I just did not want them to go unrecognized for the good work they're doing.
They're underpublicized. They really are, for the great work they do. They don't get enough credit.
Yeah, they are. But, America used to have child care at the workplace during World War II. And then they came in and sent all the women home and sent all the child care workers home. And it's been hard for families to make it ever since. Or as George W. Bush said, it got harder to put food on your family. I still don't know what that means, but that's what George W. said. Anyway, you're watching the voice of Alabama politics. We'll be right back.
Speed is one of the biggest factors in a fatal car crash. Your car stops, but your body does not stop at the same time. Your body keeps going, and that could be running into your seatbelt, that could be hitting the airbag. Something has to stop it, and unfortunately, it's something very hard.
There have been times that we've come upon accidents where if people weren't speeding, they'd probably still be alive today.
It's truly dangerous, and it puts everybody at risk.
There's just no point to it.
This kind of stuff has got to stop.
Your home is your most valuable asset. But what if someone tried to steal it from you? Property fraud is one of the fastest growing areas of fraud in the country today.
As a district attorney, I've seen firsthand the devastating effects of property fraud. That's why I'm proud to support the Montgomery County Probate Court's REACT program.
REACT is designed to protect your property and to give you peace of mind. By signing up, you'll receive an email notification if a document is filed against your property.
This program is a game changer. It has the potential to prevent fraud and protect countless homeowners throughout Montgomery County.
So don't wait. Sign up for REACT today and protect your home.
Protect your home with REACT. Sign up today.
Welcome back to the voice of Alabama politics. I want to look at Matt Woods, who just qualified as the Republican candidate for District 5, Senate District 5. Matt's been a representative. He was the only one who sought the Republican nomination. Now, there's been 2 Democrats who've entered the field, and Matt may be the best guy for the job. I'm not saying he's not. This is nothing about Matt. But what this is about, and Josh and Susan, y'all know this, and we've talked about it before, is so Representative Matt Woods moves up he gets the nomination for the Republican Party. I would say the chances of him winning the primary, I mean, he's already won, there's no primary for him to have to win, but the chances of him becoming the senator from District 5 to replace Greg Reed is about 99.9%, because they've drawn the maps so that the people don't choose their representatives. The leadership chooses them. So, Josh, here's an instant, and this is in my mind, and I may be wrong, but here's a guy who's been a representative, so he's going to move up to the Senate. The Republicans back him. They're going to move another guy into his House district. Republicans will back him. And because they are Republicans, it's really the elite selecting who is going to run things. And I know Republicans like to rail against the elite, but when you're the ones choosing the candidates, choosing the voters, how much more elite can you get than that, Josh?
Yeah, well, I mean, it is. It's a flawed system. And listen, it was a flawed system back when Democrats were the singular party in charge. So let's don't get it twisted about this thing. What constantly amazes me are the people that say that legislature are the most corrupt, crooked, do-nothing bunch of goobers that you've ever seen in your life. And then they go out and vote for them at a 98% clip to be reelected. Yeah. I mean, it is, every single time. And they'll talk to you about, well, there's no other choices. This is the reason why there's no other choices. Exactly. Okay? This is the very reason. And it's not about Democrat and Republican. It is about giving you options. And I've talked about this ad nauseum in terms of the Congressional District 2, the 2nd Congressional District race between Caroline Dobson and Shamari Figgers. And the way that race was competitive, because it was basically a 50-50 district down there, and it forced both candidates to go into areas where they would never go if it was a gerrymandered partisan district, and to talk about issues and to hear people who had issues that they never would address otherwise. And that is the way that you change the state as a whole, and you force people to pay attention to the majority of people out there. But they're not going to do it.
No, they don't want to get out. They don't want to get out among the people. They don't even want to get out and fundraise, much less get out and meet people and see what they need. They just want to be, swept into office and do their thing. But like Katie, we were talking about Katie last segment. She went during when she was running for office, she went all over the state. She talked to farmers. She talked to businessmen. That's what needs to happen. The same thing he's talking about in the District 2 race. That's what needs to happen. Is we need to get these back to competitive races where the candidates that are going to represent us are forced into going out and talking to the people.
Well, as long as it's gerrymandered, as long as the elites are picking the voters and the candidates, it's never going to change. It's always going to stay the same.
No, and it's the same reason why we have this topic all the time of people saying, why are we discussing transgender bathroom issues.
Right.
I mean, you know what I mean? Like why are we discussing books in libraries? Who is that keeping up at night? Nobody. But your hospital bills are keeping you up at night. Your heating bills and all those things, and doing something about, your schools, your local school taxes and the funding for the school system. Those things are what keep parents up at night. And we have so few real discussions about those things and people really addressing those things. And this is another reason why.
Well, if people are so worried about their grocery tax, why don't they go with Anthony Daniels' plan of cutting the taxes on groceries? You're so worried that the way you're voting nationally about your grocery tax, get behind him and call your representatives and call your senators and say, let's get this done.
Well, because
that's actual work.
Caring about actual people, that's so low on the agenda. When you can get them riled up with populism. I read a headline the other day, populism is coming to Alabama. Well, let me clue you, buddy. Populism is basically what screwed Alabama all along. Yeah. We've had populism, segregation today, segregation tomorrow, and segregation forever.
It's never left.
No. That's populism, baby. That's populism. Mm-hmm. Josh, have at it.
Yeah, it's. I mean, this is what the fear mongering and the race baiting and things that we have lived off of in this state. Our leadership has lived off in this state to keep the masses, pressed down and dumb. Because as somebody once said, if you can convince the poorest white man that he's better off than just the black man, then he'll continue to vote for you. And that's exactly what we've done in this state for so long now. And that is the populism that we're talking about.
And that has been Alabama's legacy. If you look at states like North Carolina, Virginia, who had governors at the same period of time, Terry Sanford and North Carolina concentrated on building up the two-year college system to enable people to get out and work and find good jobs. My dad taught at one of those. And the thing was, it changed North Carolina. And they were able to put in the Research Triangle part. And now it's one of the most prosperous states in the country, even though it still has a stupidity. Yeah. But there you go.
The key word was build.
Yeah.
Build instead of divide.
Yeah.
Which is what's been going on since the George Wallace era. It's still going on today. It's the politics of division, where you scare people to death and scare people into voting for you instead of actually getting out there and doing policies that work for people.
Yeah. I mean, because populism basically gives simple answers to complex problems, which is basically BS. I mean, these issues that we face in the state, Josh, they are so complex sometimes, even to child care. But they are answers and policies because people have done it and done it well.
Yeah, listen, I'm going to say something that's probably going to be unpopular with a lot of people and maybe even with the people that I'm doing the show with. But there was a governor not too long back named Bob Riley. And of all the trouble that I had with Bob Riley, the one thing that I will say for him is that he attacked some portion of exactly what we're talking about here.
Right.
Where he wanted to redo the tax-based system in this state and wanted to revamp the whole thing. And people at the top lost their minds. All of a sudden, Bob Riley was the devil overnight because he wanted to restructure the way we paid taxes in this state to attack some of these problems that we're talking about right now. I mean, of all the issues I had with him, he had that one really, really good idea, and you saw how people reacted and attacked him, and there's a reason for that.
Yeah. Well, it went down like a lead balloon, I guess you could say. It just went down. But anyway, we're going to have to leave it right there. You're watching the voice of Alabama politics. We'll be right back.
My personal biggest pet peeve is kids who are not properly restrained, whether that be in a booster seat, a car seat, or even a simple seatbelt. Kids, they become projectiles, and it's terrifying.
It absolutely breaks my heart to know that something so innocent could be punished so severely.
Your children rely on you to be that person that says, no, you need to put your seatbelt on.
Welcome back to the voice of Alabama politics. Josh, this week you wrote a fantastic, in-depth article on many things that people don't know about the Poarch Bandit Creek Indians. They look at them and they think it's just gambling, gambling, gambling. But there's a lot more to it. I know some 15 years ago or so, Susan and I went down and visited with Poarch Creek. Wonderful folks. Then we had some differences over the years over certain people down there and certain things that went on. But we went down there to investigate and see all the things they did and meet the folks. And they're just charming, giving, loving people. You go to powwow, you're going to have more fun and stay sober than you can imagine. But a great bunch of folks. But Josh, you went down there and you really looked around and talked to the folks. And boy, you brought back a wealth of knowledge about what they're doing with their money and how they got there. I mean, because they went from dust and dirt to, prosperity and wealth.
Yeah, no, it's a hell of a, rags to riches sort of a story. And what's funny, I'll tell you what's striking to me was that there was this attitude of which they were almost apologetic for their wealth, for what they have. And it's so funny, man, because it was the same sort of attitude that my grandparents used to have, where they grew up very, very poor, and then they made good with the business and stuff. And it was that they had this same sort of attitude of, we almost feel ashamed to have this. And so we want to try to give as much as we can to all these other people and do all these other things to prove, that we're not just terrible people because we got rich or something. Right. And it's kind of, the same sort of attitude that they have. And man, it's just nice. It was nice to see such an attention to detail of what people need, and taking the resources and the funds that they have and trying to spread that around an entire community and do things that's truly transformative for a population of people. Lifting, you hear a lot from Democrats saying lifting from the bottom up. And that's basically what they've tried to do there is provide a base of health care, that's free for tribal members and their families, provide an education system that's well funded and school care, after school care and summer care that allows people to get out and work, give people opportunities, and also take care of their seniors. They have a growing senior population there on the reservation, and they take excellent care of their seniors down there. And it's just, you walk, and some people were telling me, like the attitudes that have changed over the course of the last, decade or more, as the community became healthier.
Yeah.
And what they didn't have to worry about anymore. Because, listen, that even the CEO, Stephanie Bryant, talked about going to her grandmother's house when she was growing up, a little girl. And, and she would stay there in the afternoons, and she could see the dirt through the floorboards in her grandmother's house. Yeah. Keith Martin, who drove me around, talked about being at his grandmother's house and sitting in front of the fireplace, and he could look up and see the sky, through the ceiling because there was a hole there. And that's where they came from. And to be where they are today, where they're making $500 million deals on the south side of Chicago and doing all these things, I just feel like it's something that we should probably know more about and appreciate a little bit more because of what they've been able to accomplish, and maybe look at the way they've done it and the way they've treated their people and do the same stuff.
It's something, and you hit on, I'm going to just say a little bit more about that senior facility they have. And now I know when you walked in that Keith Martin was going to introduce you, and they went, "Oh, we know who Josh is. We watch him every Sunday," which is pretty cool. But tell us a little bit more what they do for their seniors.
Yeah, man, it's look, that you wouldn't believe the facility. My wife works in kind of an adjacent industry and deals with a lot of senior living facilities, assisted living facilities. And so I was showing her some of the photos that I had taken down there, and it's just she was amazed at the quality of the services. The little apartments that they have, the diner that they have on staff, the fact that they're serving 300 and 400 meals a day to the folks that are coming in and out, and and delivering them to their houses, and they're going on these trips. They're taking care of these things, and it's all kind of months in assisted living. They don't have nurses there, although that care is available as well through the reservation. It's just they've taken an approach that these are our people that we should be honoring and taking care of. And that's the way that they've done it.
But they also, in addition to that, before they get to that stage, they have independent living houses that the seniors that don't want the bigger houses anymore, that want to downsize and kind of need a little assistance, but not much. They have that provided for them as well.
They're doing what we go back to and we think is the American way, which is we are taking care of the most vulnerable among us, children and seniors. And they are doing it. Yes, they have the money, but they prioritize these issues. They run a government, it's their own government, and they prioritize issues that are important to people. We could learn a heck of a lot from them, Josh.
I could tell you, I just want to...
Yeah, no, I think so. It's, there two things that I wanted to say to follow up on that is one, they also debunk a lot of the myths that you hear about, well, if you give people free stuff, they just won't work. Or we heard this last year. Well, if we expand Medicaid, people are not going to work anymore. That is nonsense. Yeah. Okay. It's been the exact opposite for them on there. People have worked more because they're healthier and they can get out and do it. Okay. And the other thing is, this idea that there should be some shame in the fact that they've made money. Listen, there's a lot of Native American tribes out there that have been given this opportunity to earn based on gambling and other things. And what they've been able to do and the way they've been able to grow their business over the course of the last 2 decades or more, and not just that business, but the non-gaming businesses that they have, it is really, really remarkable. And I think what they've done is really fantastic. And it's something that the state of Alabama should mimic, and we should force the state of Alabama to mimic.
Susan,
I think it's a really good model. I think it is a very good model for the state of Alabama. And a lot of people are not going to want to hear that. But these people are, they're also very faith-based people as well. I've had some personal experience with that in my lifetime of them actually praying for me. But I think it's a very good model for the state to look at how to take money and redistribute it to where it's good for the state.
And I know, and when we all three were talking about this, our idea was that, we need people to understand, especially our lawmakers and other folks, who are these people that are doing gaming? I mean, it's the same thing, and you and Josh talked about this. Who are the McGregors now? I mean, who are these people, and what have they put into this and their community? These are not just some hustlers from Vegas looking to move in and make a fortune off a bunch of hillbilly Alabamians. No, these are people who have led good lives, who've taken care of their families and their communities for decades. And they're just trying to keep their businesses open and prosper more so they can do better. But anyway, we're out of time. You've been watching the voice of Alabama politics. You watch us because we watch them.